The R&B singers Normani, SZA, and Chloe Bailey's albums have yet to be released. Are they getting sabotaged? What's really going on? We'll talk about it in this video. Stay tuned. Hello everybody, welcome to the Empressive channel. I want to talk about Chloe Bailey, SZA, and Normani's albums currently being held up. Now, the Jasmine brand reposted this interesting tweet by Taylor Gray saying this: something feels really sinister when you examine the way Normani, Chloe, and SZA, Black women with substantial hype, are being held hostage without the ability to release their projects. Now, this is an interesting discussion floating around because Chloe did say that she didn't know when her album was going to be released.
When's the album? At this point, I don't know.
And also, SZA called out her label for holding back her album. And we don't really know the status of Normani's album either. So it is kind of a mystery. But I think I could probably speak on what I feel is going on. One thing I know for sure is every artist in the industry has to go through this long approval process before they could release a single or an album. This is really the downside to being signed to a label. There's just a lot of people an artist has to appease before they could release anything. And this is what's really holding SZA, Chloe, and Normani up right now. And before I get deeper into that conversation, I kind of want to talk about the ladies' situations individually. I did talk about Chloe's situation in one of my previous videos, and I believe the reason why Chloe's album is being held back for now is because her label, Columbia Records, is waiting for her to get a big hit. Now, she had Have Mercy. Have Mercy went platinum. It peaked to the top 30 on the Billboard Hot 100 charts, and it reached #1 on urban radio. So it was actually a successful debut single, but her other singles, Treat Me and Surprise, didn't perform the way the label probably would have hoped. So they're not going to rush to put out her album until she has a stronger single. Also, Columbia is focusing on their bigger artist, Beyonce. Beyonce, as we all know, is dropping her new album, Renaissance, this upcoming Friday. So Beyonce is Columbia's priority. Now, this does make things complicated for Chloe because Chloe is not only signed to Columbia, but she's also signed to Beyonce's management company, Parkwood Entertainment. So she really kind of has to wait for Beyonce to drop before she can drop. I think that's currently the predicament that she's in. Now, does this mean there's no hope for her? Absolutely not. I think eventually her album will drop. And the good thing about Chloe's situation is she has a good team. Her team at Parkwood is going to always make sure she stays visible and booked. So she's lucky to have a competent team. She still has the Chloe and Halle brand that she could focus on. And also she has an acting career to fall back on. So she has other avenues to branch out into. And I do think she will be releasing more singles before releasing her album. Now, as far as Normani and SZA are concerned, I think their situation has to do with what's going on at RCA. Normani's situation is a little mystifying to me, so I don't know exactly where she stands on the label. I do know her single that she released called Wild Side did pretty well. It peaked at #14 on the Billboard Hot 100. It also did very well on urban radio. It streamed well. It went viral on TikTok a few times, and it is eligible to be 2 times platinum. So the song Wild Side did exactly what it needed to do. The video was also amazing, and fun fact, Normani invested in her own video. So her label didn't really have to invest money in her song like that, but they did make a huge profit. And aside from Wild Side, Normani has other hits under her belt as well. I mean, if you look at some of her streaming numbers, it's pretty impressive considering that she hasn't released much music. But I think the problem with Normani is her team. I think her team fails to capitalize off of big moments in her career. And RCA really drags their feet in releasing her singles. I think it took them several months, almost a year after she dropped Wild Side to release another single. And that kind of messed up her momentum. And the single she released called Fair didn't really perform in the way RCA wanted it to perform. So I believe that affected her rollout process as well. But this doesn't mean that this is the end of the road for Normani. I did hear that she's releasing new music. She has a song coming up with Calvin Harris and Tinashe and Offset, and I'm very interested to hear that, especially seeing Tinashe and Normani on the same song. Ooh, I can't wait for them to do a dance off. Also, she has a single under her belt that will put her back on the map, and that's her song Candy Paint. I heard a snippet of Candy Paint and it sounds like a hit to me. Hopefully she gets a chance to release it sometime soon, and hopefully it helps kickstart the rollout for her album. Now on to SZA. SZA's album is being held up as well, and like Normani, she is signed to RCA. She actually has a joint situation with her label TDE and RCA, and she's been kind of frustrated because the head of her label at TDE, named Punch, hasn't signed off on her album yet, and also RCA hasn't signed off on her album. She was supposed to release it this summer, and when somebody asked her about it, she said, "It's 100% Punch and RCA on this one. I wanted the summer. They wanted more time. At this point, I'm just trying to have a good time, stress-free, LOL." When SZA put this out there, a lot of her fans were outraged and they started hounding RCA and Punch. And Punch had to respond and said, "I guess I should have given a bit of context. SZA and myself initially spoke about a summertime album, which is why she mentioned summer in a post-Grammys interview. Shortly after discussing everything with RCA and Top, which is TDE, we decided it was best to do a little bit later to set everything up correctly, given it its proper space and lead time. There is a lot that goes into putting out an album, and especially one with this much anticipation. We thank you for your continued patience and understanding. An announcement will be coming sooner than you think." So in other words, Punch is saying that RCA is gathering up the budget for SZA's album. I think SZA's album is going to do very good. She's already had some pretty major hits even in the last year. She had one of the biggest hits of the year with Doja Cat called Kiss Me More. She also had 2 other top 10 hits called Good Days and I Hate You. And she's supposed to be releasing her next single, Shirt, and Doja Cat is going to be featured on the remix. So that song is going to be huge. A lot of people have been anticipating that song already. So I think RCA understands that there is a huge demand for SZA, and they know that her rollout cannot be messy. If they want to capitalize off of her momentum, everything has to be done meticulously. So I think that's the reason why her album is not coming out just yet. With all that being said, I think the main reason why Chloe, Normani, and SZA's albums are being held up is because they have to go through a long approval process before they could release music. This is what most artists in the industry have to deal with. If they're signed to a label, they have to really sit around and wait until a label greenlights their projects. Ciara actually spoke about how frustrating it was for her to deal with labels, and she decided to launch her own independent label to have more control over her career.
Mind you, there's a process that you go through for like the approval process for people to like, support the record, believe in the record you want to go with. I always said Level Up is my record. I'm like, Level Up is a song. And so I believed in it, but there was this whole process, the changing of the guards, having to hear different opinions about the song, if it's going to work or if it's not going to work, if I'm going to stream again like that. But this business is tough.
Yeah. Wow.
Because I kept saying, if I ever get a chance to, I was like, as soon as I get a chance to do my own label, I'm going to do it because
now's the time.
Because I felt creatively handicapped at times because I have to wait for people to say yes and no and approvals. And it's like, the power is out of my hand. I worked so hard on this art, but I still have to wait for someone else to tell me that it's okay to share it with the world.
So you heard Ciara talk about how difficult it was for the label to believe in her single Level Up. And when she got the opportunity to go independent, that's when everything started to go smoothly for her as a creative. And another artist named Russ echoed the same sentiments. He talked about the benefits of being independent versus being on a label and waiting to get your projects released.
The perks of being independent are being able to do what you want when you want. When you're with a label, there's so much approval process that sucks the enthusiasm out of the natural process of being an artist. When you want to get a video shot, it takes weeks and weeks to approve treatments and budgets. And once you shoot the video, is that a brand you're wearing on your shirt? We got to blur it out, or we got to wait 2-3 weeks to clear it with business affairs, or you got to take the shot out. You want to actually add something to the treatment that wasn't in there? That's going to take weeks to get approved. All of those hurdles and nonsense, trying to get things approved to go to radio. Well, we like the song, we don't love it, we'd rather do this. Nonsense. You're ruining the enthusiasm and up the momentum of the natural joy that artists have about their songs. Me being the label and being independent, approved. Consider it approved. I haven't had to wait on anything because I'm the one calling the shots and greenlighting everything. So it's a beautiful thing. Greenlight yourself.
So once again, you're hearing another artist echoing the same thing about the frustrating approval process at these labels, which is why a lot of these artists now are going independent. They don't want to have to deal with a bunch of middlemen telling them when they can and can't drop music. Unfortunately, SZA, Chloe, and Normani aren't in the position to drop whenever they want to, but I do have hopes that they will eventually drop their albums. I'm hoping that all three of them get to drop their albums at least sometime in the fall. That's what I'm hoping. But anyway, tell me what y'all think about this video down below. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video if you care. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.